Trails is flight up. Roger.
Alexandra, have you ever given any thought to traveling in space?
You mean like becoming an astronaut? I'd love to.
Well, with the new small rocket called the Roton, it's going to be a piece of cake, and you're guaranteed to return.
Well, this I gotta see. But just as interesting is our story on a fraud hunter who detects swindles to protect your health.
And we'll also look at the latest technology, a PC installed in your car.
We'll also examine the treatment and prevention of diabetes, a major illness which affects millions of people.
So, stay tuned for a most engaging show.
You're about to meet the Ralph Nader of the health world. His main mission is to safeguard the health of the American public by uncovering fraud in advertising. Dr. Stephen Barrett is like a relentless soldier. He's a retired psychiatrist with an agenda. He's armed for battle at all times. He's board chairman of Quack Watch, previously called the National Council Against Health Fraud. He's waging a war on fraud in the U.S. health market. He reveals information on his website on products and promises that don't deliver.
I'm interested in investigating the different ways that people can be fooled and misled in health matters and in calling attention to the problems, providing information so people can sort out what's true and what isn't true, what might work and what might not work.
Barrett's targets consist of companies that market vitamins that promise too much, food supplements that are worthless, and therapies that are questionable.
I used to have to scratch to get my information into the media. Today I am the media. I don't lift a finger most of the time to get information out. People call me because I've got good information.
Cellulite is one of Stephen's specific items that he's especially critical of.
There is no such thing as cellulite. It's not a medical term. It's no medical condition. All cellulite is regular fat.
According to Stephen, all procedures involving cellulite are bogus.
You can't pick out some part of your body and say, oh, this is where I want my fat to come off. It doesn't work that way. You can lose weight generally, and that will reduce the amount of fat. But the idea that you can take a pill, no pill is going to do that. The fat isn't any different from the rest of the fat. So how is it going to pick, what do you have, a pill that's got some message in it and says, oh, take the fat off over my hips? No way.
Another area criticized by Stephen is the work performed by chiropractors.
I give chiropractors credit for what they do correctly, and I attack what they do incorrectly, which is a lot of what they do. And the chiropractors who I've met tend not to be upset. Other chiropractors, think of me as the devil in person. Sometimes they send me nasty letters. I invite them to send me letters. This chiropractor sends me a nasty letter. I ask him if he'd like it posted on my Chirobase website, and I'm happy to post nasty letters.
Dr. Barrett is merciless in his quest for truth. One of his favorite targets is the vitamin industry.
What happens is that the vitamin industry gets people to put more trust in vitamins than is deserved, and that makes them more likely to listen to somebody who says, oh, vitamins are so good that we can fix your cancer, we can fix your heart disease, we can do lots of things. Those people may get hurt. The other thing is, where's the money going? The money is going into the hands of companies that are basically out to fool people.
He's disillusioned with the FDA, which he finds ineffectual.
The FDA does not protect people against vitamin fraud or supplement fraud, not at all. It doesn't have any power to regulate most of the things that are done. The Federal Trade Commission has some power. It's doing what it can, but the problem is too big.
So, is lawlessness rampant in the health industry?
Well, it's against the law to mislead people when you sell things. Almost everybody who is selling vitamins is breaking the law by misleading people. One of the products would be stress vitamins, vitamins supposedly that you should take if you're under stress, whether the stress is some kind of physical stress or nervous stress. They don't do anything. They're just regular vitamins, and people under stress don't need more vitamins.
Stephen's skepticism knows no boundaries. He even questions the authenticity of psychic surgery.
Psychic surgery, you claim that you can operate on people without leaving a scar. You cut into their belly and you pull something out and so on. It's really a magic trick where they take an artificial finger and put some red dye in it, or they do something where they conceal something in their hand and then they pretend that it's coming out of your belly. There are people in the Philippines and Brazil that do that sort of thing, and they claim they can treat tumors and so on. It's complete fakery.
Stephen isn't asking for much, just scientific control through meaningful tests. He wants to warn unsuspecting people about the unknown and the unconfirmed. And when it comes to fraud, a few words of advice.
It's very easy to fool people. Different people are vulnerable for different reasons, and the market will have a sales pitch for every reason. Most quackery doesn't look ridiculous when it's aimed at you.
More harmful than useless vitamins are the ingredients found in foods that cause diabetes, which, if not properly checked, can lead to blindness, heart attacks, and strokes. A recent study conducted by Dr. Richard Surwitt, professor at the Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Sciences at Duke University in North Carolina, demonstrates that a low-fat diet can totally reverse the effects of diabetes type 2 in animals.
What we did is we made animals diabetic with a high-fat diet, and then took the fat away, or raised them on a low-fat diet, and then when they were fully adult, switched them to a high-fat diet. We were able to show that the degree to which they developed diabetes was exactly the same, and it could be turned on or off depending upon the fat content of the diet.
Diabetes is caused by a malfunction of the pancreas, which stops producing insulin in part or in total. Now, there are various types of diabetes, but the most common ones are type 1, insulin-dependent, and type 2, non-insulin dependent. Dr. Mark Feinglos is an endocrinologist and professor of medicine at Duke and explains the difference.
Of the 16 million people with diabetes, about 13 or 14 million have type 2. In type 1 diabetes, the body can't make insulin at all. And that's the hormone that allows you to take glucose, your fuel, sugar, from the bloodstream and move it into the cells. In type 2 diabetes, the insulin is still there, but it isn't working right. There's something wrong at the level of the cell where you need to get the mechanism going that moves the glucose into the cell. It's like insulin is a key that unlocks the cell door. In type 1 diabetes, the key's missing. In type 2 diabetes, the key's there, but it doesn't fit the lock.
According to the World Health Organization, there are close to 135 million diabetics in the world, and most of them with diabetes type 2, which is genetically transmitted. Diabetes is the primary cause of universal blindness. In addition, it accelerates arteriosclerosis, plus causing heart attacks and strokes. An unhealthy diet, sedentary living, and obesity are obvious contributors to the risk of contracting the disease. But Dr. Surwitt came up with a surprising revelation.
Two things. First of all, in the popular literature, and even among certain scientists, people still believe that sugar is more toxic to people who have a predisposition to diabetes. So we were able to show that that wasn't true.
In fact, we've given our mice that have the tendency to get type 2 diabetes, we've given them diets of 100% sugar, and nothing happens. They smile at us. And it's fine. We give them a high-fat diet, of course, and they develop diabetes.
We were also able to show that just the reduction of fat itself seemed to take the diabetes away.
The problem if you have diabetes, and this is why it gets all confused, if you have diabetes and you eat a lot of simple sugars, they get absorbed into the bloodstream very fast, and so you can't handle them very well, and so your sugar rises. Well, people have taken that and gone beyond it and said, well, if you take in a lot of sugar, it'll cause you to have diabetes. It's just not true. There's no data to support that at all.
The myth of sugar contributing to diabetes still prevails, but the real culprit, junk food, is still very much a main staple of the American diet.
In the United States, we estimate that almost 50% of the population can now be considered obese, which is the highest prevalence of obesity in the entire world.
There's something about fat, eating a high-fat diet, that also makes you more insulin resistant. So having a high-fat diet, even without extra weight gain, will make you more insulin resistant and more likely to get into trouble.
Americans eat a tremendous amount of fried food. They eat French fried potatoes. They eat donuts. Almost everything that is consumed in the United States is high fat. Even Mexican food, which has become very popular in the United States, is full of fat.
Dr. Serwit admonishes that resisting the temptation of consuming fast foods is absolutely vital. Hamburgers and fries should never take the place of rice and beans.
In the country with the most cars on the planet, it's only natural that someone would invent the perfect companion, PC for short, an auto PC. This PC is amazing. It reacts to your verbal command, imparts information, receives messages, changes radio stations or CD bands.
Auto PC, radio, preset, jazz.
The Auto PC is equipped with an interactive system that recognizes your voice. You tell the Auto PC what you want to hear and it carries out your commands, and you can change stations at will.
Auto PC, CD player. Next. Next.
With the Auto PC, you never have to take your hand off the steering wheel or your eyes off the road.
Auto PC. What time is it?
12:58 p.m.
And you don't have to wait to get to the office to receive your latest email.
Email for messages.
Read.
From Bill Mitchell. July 20th, 98. 5:55 a.m. Subject, presentation. I need the new Apollo presentation from you before I leave.
The Auto PC is a sophisticated computer. It works on the Windows system and uses infrared sensors to communicate with other PCs. It also has an address book handy for you, which helps you to get where you're going.
Proceed east on West Redondo Beach Boulevard. In 1/10 of a mile, turn right onto Interstate 110 North Ramp.
Auto PC, address book. Locate. Bill Mitchell. Select. Dial.
Dial work phone. 323-667-2225. You have arrived at your destination.
Thanks, Auto PC.
Call it daring, crazy, bizarre, or maybe just plain nuts, but it is a fact. The rocket called Roton is undoubtedly the smallest, but the safest and most economical means of transportation into space. Space is our future, and to reach it, we now have a small rocket ship that not only gets there, but also returns. And no, it's not science fiction, it's factual. The brainstorm of Rotary Rocket, a California company proud of its invention.
Ladies and gentlemen, the dream is alive, and the revolution begins today.
The Roton is the first rocket that's reused in multiple trips. With the current forecast that 2,000 satellites are to be placed in orbit next year, the Roton becomes a very important part of the program. Jeffrey Hughes is the Director of Development.
We think that there will be an incredible expansion of satellite-based telecommunications, and that's the marketplace that people see, and that's the marketplace that we will address initially, and we'll address that by giving a better service, and we can also fly much more dependably than today's rockets.
Rotary Rocket is a privately owned, privately funded company. One of the investors is famed novelist Tom Clancy. We asked him his reason.
Because I believe in it. Because the future is up there, and that's how we're going to get there.
Realistically, if a company wants to launch a satellite into orbit, it has to first adhere to FAA rules, and then it has to join the long line of candidates and wait at least 2 years. Also,
there's a very good chance, at least 5%, probably 10% chance, that the rocket will crash. That's a dreadful way to do business. No other form of transportation will accept that level of unreliability. And we don't understand why the space industry does. You know, if we had that level of unreliability with aircraft, nobody would ever fly.
To send a pound of payload into orbit costs about $5,000. Rotary Rocket promises to launch satellites into space for $1,000 per pound. Now, to achieve this, the rocket has to possess two basic characteristics. The first is lower weight. Instead of an aluminum skin, Roton is made out of graphite. It was built in collaboration with a company called Scaled Composites, belonging to Burt Rutan, one of the famous Rutan brothers, who designs airplanes covered by scope on another show.
Composite materials allow us to build structures that are lighter and stiffer than working with metals.
Another contributing factor to Roton's light weight is fuel. Instead of using hydrogen, it uses kerosene, a very dense combustible propellant that occupies less space than hydrogen.
We can use a small tank, it's easy to make, and it gives us many weight-saving advantages. So it's our approach. It's an unusual approach, but it's a very sound scientific approach.
Considering that the Roton will be piloted, its chances of returning are certainly improved.
A big difference with our vehicle is that it will have a human crew. Computers are great as long as everything goes as planned. But the instant things go differently, computers fail. To make a computer system which can anticipate and correct for everything is impossible. Human pilots are much more capable and much more flexible. And so in the case of our vehicle, if there's an anomaly, the pilots can switch off the computer and they can fly the vehicle themselves.
Dan DeLong, main propulsion chief engineer for the Rotary Rocket Company, is a firm advocate of the Roton's capabilities.
I was convinced that cheap access to space is not only possible, but it's relatively easy to do within today's technology, and we don't need new development to do it. Even if the engine fails, we can still land. We can land in a parking lot, we can land in the desert, and we don't hurt anybody. A lot of satellite failures really are simple problems, and most of the bird is salvageable, but you can't get it. We can get it.
At present, the front cabin has only room for 2 astronauts. Rotary Rocket is working with the FAA to establish the training program and regulations for fledgling pilots. For the first time, they'll be civil and not military. With the presence of human pilots, the worry over safety increases.
The FAA's mandate is safety to people on the ground, and we take this very, very seriously. So the key to safe space transportation, even during the takeoff phase, is by having multiple systems and redundancy. And this we have by design, and then we have a human pilot who can then look at the anomaly and choose the appropriate response.
And the landing?
The landing is very safe. The vehicle comes down, it is almost empty. It uses conventional helicopter technology, which is very reliable, and the pilot can fly it all the way in and land it safely.
Roton's landing mechanism has 4 propellers that slow down its descent, and the motor located at the base also rotates. That's how Roton got its name.
So what we decided to do was to spin the entire engine, let the propellants come in the middle, and then centrifugal force will throw the propellants out automatically to the periphery of the engine where the combustion chambers are, and it will generate the high pressure we need without having to do anything. It's a very nice solution, and it's very cost effective.
Another important consideration is that the rockets are reusable. Today's rockets are considered expendable and not designed for reuse. But now the scenario has changed.
And the question is, how can we get a reusable rocket easily? Because you have to come home. And rotors enable us to come home very easily, very precisely, and land in an exact spot very gently.
But what makes you so sure that you'll come back in one piece?
Because we have people in the vehicle, and the people are our friends, and we want them to come home.
Of course, the company's objectives aren't just private travel, but also business ventures.
We can bring back to Earth on a routine basis several tons of manufactured products. This is an opportunity which has not been available before, and the Roton will bring this about.
And it will affect the telecommunication systems worldwide.
The telephone or the telecommunication satellites that we have today will change out of all recognition in the future. And the key to bringing about this change is Rotary Rocket Company's Roton space vehicle. We want to be the lowest cost provider of safe, reliable space transportation. And with the Roton, we can do that. No question about it.
Roton will be tested for a full year in the Mojave Desert in California. Now it's everyone's fervent hope that the tests are positive and that flying to the moon by the public becomes a reality within 2 years.
Our dream is to make space travel commonplace. So commonplace that the media does not come to film the flights.
How exciting. I might get to the moon after all.
And Stephen Barnett policing all those phony products, so there's a man on a mission. My hat's off to him.
And to our audience, without whom this show wouldn't be happening.
So, until the next scope, so long and stay well.